Stephen Bedard here. But who is Stephen Bedard? Well, I thought I'd put together a short video for those who visit my website, stephenjbedard.com, or my YouTube channel, stephenjbedard.com/videos, to explain a little bit of what I'm like, what I'm interested in, and so forth. So here I am. Well, I was born at an early age, as we all were. I actually grew up in St. Catharines, Ontario, which is in Canada, if you don't know. Specifically an area of St. Catharines called Meryton, which won't mean anything to you unless you actually are from St. Catharines. And had a good childhood. I grew up as an only child, and grew up attending an Anglican church, and so it was an important part of my life as I grew up. But by my mid-teens, I became an atheist, and I go into this in more detail in my video on how I became a Christian. But anyways, I ended up attending Brock University in St. Catharines, and I studied business, specifically marketing, as my major, which seems a little bit strange now, but I actually use a lot of those principles in my ministry and my life now, so it really was a good thing. And it was actually during my time at Brock that I became a Christian, or at least I came to personal faith. I had a faith background before then, but it really became personal during my time at Brock. I actually got involved with InterVarsity Christian Fellowship during that time, which was really important, really shaped who I am as a Christian, as I got a chance to spend time with Christians of all kinds of denominations and traditions. So that was really important to me. And it was actually just after that that I went on a mission trip with Operation Mobilization. I went to London, England, and it was during that time that I felt a call to ministry, and I ended up attending seminary at McMaster Divinity College. I started attending there as a Pentecostal, but ended up becoming a Baptist during the summer just before my last year at McMaster Divinity College, and that's where I got my Master of Divinity, and ended up going right into do a Master of Theology degree, just because it worked out for me to do that. And then during that time, I got married to my wife Amanda, which is awesome. We have 5 children, and I absolutely love being a dad. I always did dad jokes before I was a dad. Now they're just slightly more appropriate as a dad. And I went into ministry. I've pastored at a number of churches in Brantford, Hamilton, Meaford, and now in St. Catharines, as I have returned back to St. Catharines. In that time, when I was in Meaford, I ended up doing a Master of Arts degree in Biblical Studies, and it was through that I ended up writing my first book, co-writing it with Stan Porter, Unmasking the Pagan Christ, as we responded to Tom Harper's Pagan Christ book. And that was a big shift for me to be able to respond in a scholarly way to something that really was well connected with my pastoral ministry. And so I really enjoyed that, and that really made a big change for me. It was also during this time that my 2 older children were diagnosed with autism, and I have a video for that, of what it's like to be an autism dad. And that, again, was a major change for me, and it started me on an interest in disabilities in general. Of course, I started looking into autism, but disabilities in general, as I have 2 hats to wear. That one as a special needs dad, but also as a pastor who wants to make churches welcoming and inclusive of people of all disabilities. And so that's a big part of what I'm doing. In fact, at this time, I am just finishing up my Doctor of Ministry degree at Acadia Divinity College. and it is on how to make churches, especially smaller churches, welcoming and inclusive of people with disabilities. And so that's a little bit of who I am, of what I'm interested in. There's a lot of things that I'm interested in. I'm interested in military history. In fact, I have a podcast on the history of the Second World War, and I'm also actually in the Canadian Armed Forces as a chaplain with the Army Reserve, which I absolutely love doing that. I also love all things Tolkien, not just Lord of the Rings, but going deeper into just about anything that Tolkien wrote. I'm a big fan of Tolkien. I'm also a big fan of C.S. Lewis. If I was stuck on a desert island and all I had was the complete works of Tolkien and Lewis, I would be doing okay. I am an introvert, so I would survive that without too much difficulty. I also like comic books. I grew up collecting comic books, and I have a blog called the Comic Book Geek that's found at stephenjbedard.com, and it looks at superhero movies and science fiction movies and that type of thing. I don't actually collect comic books anymore because they're too expensive and there's too many going on and they keep rebooting universes, but I still like the idea of superheroes and comic books, and so it's something that keeps me going. And that is pretty much who I am. I love to blog, I love to write, I love to do podcasts, I love to do YouTube videos, I love to preach, I love to talk to people and to share the things that I'm passionate about. And I hope that you continue to visit me at the website, stephenjbedard.com, at the YouTube channel, stephenjbedard.com/videos, and hit that subscribe button. Thank you, and God bless.